Hello. Hello, everyone. If you could just work on taking your seats. As soon as we get everybody kind of through the door here, we'll begin. Probably about 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you all for gathering with us today. My name's Luke, and Stacy was my wife Karen's sister, my sister. I don't want to be here under these circumstances, and yet there's nowhere I'd rather be under these circumstances. I know you feel the same, and have put your life on pause and barred no expense to be here. This is a holy sacrifice in which we, their community, honor Stacy and John and Abby. Grieving friends, I suspect that many of you, like me, operate most of the time as if we're in control and have some expectation that life is going to play out like it's supposed to. And then we experience a gut punch like this, and we're at a loss. There are questions that we can't answer, and pain that seems unbearable. In these moments, we look to the eternal and hope that there's more to the story than we can see. So let's begin there with a prayer. Creator of sky and sea, body and spirit, in our grief, we are struggling to find hope and meaning. With humility, we ask for the serenity to accept the things we cannot control and the questions we cannot answer. Please give us the strength to go on in the hope that there is something better, that there's something more than this painful world of our experience, and that someday this loss will make more sense and we'll get to see Stacy again. We are thankful for the time we had, and we mourn the years we hoped we would have. Help us to hold both. I pray these things in the confidence of the one who conquered death, the God of all compassion and grace, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Today will be a love song to Stacey Lynn Fischer and the beautiful person that we knew her to be. You will hear from her husband, her parents, siblings, and friends, each with a ballad from their own perspective. For those of you who maybe only knew Stacy in one season of her life, I'd like to offer a brief tribute to Stacy that I hope will give some context to the pictures and the stories that you will see today. Stacy Lynn was born on December 30th, 1982, to David and Nancy Haig, and grew up in their loving San Diego home as the big sister to Karen, Jeanette, and Tim. In middle school, she met John Fisher, thus beginning the epic John and Stacy romance that flowed through the rest of her life. She went on to get her bachelor's at Cal Poly, but not before she and John wed in August of 2004. They built a home together where love overflowed to their community. Like a campfire, Stacy's genuine love for others and hospitality attracted a circle of friends with whom they shared life and love and light. In Stacy's glow, you felt warmed and seen and served. Bend, Oregon became their home where Stacy used her training as an accountant and partnered with John in expanding Ashley Vance Engineering. But it was in nature that she came alive, and in Oregon's wild outdoors spoke to her soul. She loved the water and trees, mountains and birds. She loved the thrill of a plunge into icy water and the contemplative walks through the forest. She collected and created and shared beauty in its many forms. With her, you enjoyed good music, great food, cozy spaces, and wonderful questions. When you were with her, you got a glimpse of the divine and felt Jesus smiling on you. In 2016, Abigail Jack was born, and Stacy took on the sacred responsibility of a mother with the same care and compassion that she used to create her community. She nurtured Abby into a wise young woman by listening with empathy, speaking with honest grace, and making so many small moments special. Her family mourns the gaping hole that she will leave as a wife and a mother daughter and sister. But we have confidence that through Jesus we will be reunited when he makes all things whole. Until then, we each carry a piece of her light with us because Stacy gave so much of herself away to us. Today, at this celebration of her life, I ask that you listen as Stacy did. Savor, delight. It's okay to cry or laugh. We only ask that you be real and present. As pictures scroll through and songs of significance play, in your own way, enjoy her. Be thankful for the time that we had and commit before your God to live the life that you have been given fully and generously. John.
If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me for to ease my pain? If you needed me, I would come to you. I would swim the sea for to ease your pain.
Well, the night's fall long, and the morning's born, and the morning's born with the lights of love, and you'll miss sunrise if you close your eyes, and that will break my heart.
If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me for to ease my pain? If you needed me, I would come to you. I would swim the sea for to ease your pain. Baby's with me now, since I showed her how to lay her lily hand in mine. Who could ill agree? She's a sight to see, a treasure for the poor to find. If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me for to ease my pain? If you needed me, I would come to you. I would swim the sea for to ease your pain.
I see you on the avenue where you know them and they know you. Down so low, there's nowhere left to fall. watch you bend like twigs against the change, and other times and wither underweight that weighs upon us all. Just hoping that someone will hear you call. All red dirt and sand may cover all the land, and everything may fall apart. But as soon as you know, you'll be steady as you go on, like a blackbird through the dark. I see your faith begin to sway as the promise seems to slip away, and all the days just break to test your will. As the sun goes down on the west and we all learn to live with less, desire burns a hole you'll never fill, and its hand like a stain is on you still. All but red dirt and sand may cover all the land, and everything may fall apart. But as soon as you know, you'll be steady as you go on, like a blackbird through the dark.
I will wait for you till the sun turns into ashes and bows down to the moon. I will wait for you. It's a long, hard war, oh, but I can grin and bear it, 'cause I know what the hell I'm fighting for, and I will wait for you. We were never made to run forever. We were just meant to go long enough to find what we were chasing after. I believe I found it here in your love. I will stand my ground. I'm a bad man looking for takers. You're the finest thing around, so I will stand my ground. 'Cause it's cold out there, and you know some men search for ages for the love that I have found, so I will stand my ground. We were never made to run forever. We were just meant to go long enough to find what we were chasing after. I believe I found it here in your love. Honey, I will wait for you. Honey, I will stand my ground. till my hands are tired and bleeding. I know what it is from us I'm needing. I will work for you like a team of mules pulling hell off from its hinges. It's a love that I'll keep tending. I will work for you. We were never made to run forever. We were just meant to go long enough to find what we were chasing after. I believe I found it here in your love. Honey, I will wait for you. Honey, I will stand my ground. I will work for you. I will stand my ground.
Oh, my love, you've been crying. Oh, honey, baby, please. We can work it out. I can't survive unless you're next to me. And all my life, before I met you, when I was trying hard in love, I thought the sun was going down, but the sun was coming up. And all those others that I stayed with, their eyes of polished stone, and all my devils that I made deals with so I wouldn't have to sleep alone. And all my life, before I met you, when I was trying hard in love, I thought the sun was going down, but the sun was coming up. I see your face in the window. I see your face in the reflections of the moon. I feel my old ancient shadows disappear when I am near to you. So take this heart, take this feeling, take my dark and reeling mind. And from these poor words, find the meaning far deeper than these clumsy lines. And all my life, before I met you, and I was trying hard in love, I thought the sun was going down, but the sun was coming up. I thought the sun was going down, but the sun was coming up.
Dude. Whoa. I mean, I could look at pictures of Stacy all day. Let's do it again. Oh, man. Oh, this is a lot. Can you guys stand up for a second? Just stand up. Okay, that's good. Okay. It feels better, right? It feels better. You know, I've loved Stacy my whole life. My whole life. Basically, you know, we got one of those stories that starts back in 7th grade. I was 12 when I met her. It was just a couple years after I had lost my dad, when I was 10, about Abby's age. And a romantic, broken-hearted boy fell in love with a bubbly, innocent girl with a depth in her dancing eyes that could hold the universe and reflect it back with more warmth and meaning than I'd seen. And I told her that year that I loved her, and she got scared and hung up on me. But Nancy will tell you how much time we logged on the landline back in the mid-90s. And by the end of high school, I was convinced that love was all that really mattered in life. And that romantic love with Stacy seemed God's perfect gift to me. So I centered the course of my life on living in love with her. I really didn't care too much about much else, and neither did she. She would follow me anywhere, as long as we were together. And I never really knew where I was going. I would just walk backwards looking at her because she was so pretty and bright, and tell stories about what was behind me. And she loved me and believed in me so much that most of those times those stories came true. And it was like our love could create its own reality. One filled with meaning and heartbreaking beauty. We didn't need nice stuff or expensive trips. Just quiet hand-in-hand time could transform wherever we were into paradise. And Stacy lived for these moments. Her favorite thing was to get away, just the two of us, to find space for this magic to meet us, and it always would. Stacy had a special relationship with nature, with the ocean, the rivers, the moon, the trees, the flowers, the animals. I don't know if anyone's ever heard Stacy's cute animal voice, but it's like next level octave. I have 3 times seen a wild otter wave back to Stacy when I shit you not, once in an ocean, once in a lake, and once in a river. She'd be like, oh my God, there it is, blah, blah, blah. And the otter's like, and I'm just like, she was magic, and creation itself seemed to respond. She was also fragile and deeply sensitive, maybe too sensitive for this world. I think a lot of people were shocked by the news of her passing, and many of you were left reeling with questions of why. All those few of us closest to her, especially in the last 6 months, understood some deeper context of her voluntary departure. Very few knew how hard she had to work to keep her head above water. And it is important to me that we share openly and honestly about her passing, rather than allow our thoughts to sequester into stories that may shadow her dignity. Because believe me, she tried so hard to stay with us as long as she could. And I know full well that none of this is her fault. Her well was deep and her water was pure. Water is pure. Abby keeps correcting my language. I'll be like, Abby, you had the best mom. Have the best mom, Dad. She's still here. I'm like, right, thank you. Her water is pure. She saw people in the world with a piercing, objective clarity, seeing right through any artifice, directly to the heart with full sincerity. She was highly sensitive to the energy of people around her. She found superficial conversations exhausting and would get overwhelmed and retreat from group interactions. She never wanted to bring anyone down when she was feeling this way, so her tendency was to isolate and to sink into quiet stillness. Until I would find her, and I learned how to sit with her in the dark until the wave moved over and I would coax her back to the surface. This tendency for deep depression pulled her down such that some days she had trouble doing life, when so much of it seemed tiresome and meaningless to her. She started taking an antidepressant about a decade ago, which really seemed to help her keep up with the pace of modern life. Which begs the question, what kind of world have we created when modernity requires that our most sensitive people rely on pharmaceuticals to survive it? But those are my questions, they're not hers. She quietly accepted the world for how it is and judged no one and nothing, taking everything onto herself. This past summer, she was doing fairly well, despite some not insignificant challenges and dramas of midlife. And she developed a conviction that she no longer wanted to be dependent on Wellbutrin, which she'd been taking for about a decade. So she stopped taking them. And within a few weeks, it was clear that she was heading too far down, as the world seemed to close in around her and she began to isolate. So at my nudging, she went back on. And at this point, we were both naive about how dangerous it is to do a full stop and a full restart on a drug that your brain chemistry has come to rely on. These ripples moved her from deep depression to severe anxiety as she continued to spiral down. And she went to a new doctor who prescribed a different antidepressant, which seemed to be the exact wrong kind for her. And within a month of that, she was so far down that she was struggling to sleep or get through the day. By early November, she began telling me that she didn't think she could stay any longer, and that she believed that Abby and I would be better off without her. Of course, this kicked me into hyperdrive as I began to fight furiously for her health and to call in help. We went to San Diego to get support, and Stacy spent some time in the hospital where she seemed to lose herself completely. As they tried several new drugs, and eventually she stabilized enough to start intensive outpatient treatments while we lived at her parents' house, and I became her full-time caregiver, and Abby spent her days with my mom at Grandma Joy School. These were fun and special days for Abby, but hard and frustrating days for me, and the few who were engaged in supporting us, especially her parents, who served us with saint-like steadfastness and unconditional love as we lived with them for nearly 4 months. Stacy had made some progress, but ultimately she was not ready to come home to Bend, and she agreed to do a 30-day wilderness residency that we had selected for her in Southern California while Abby and I returned to work and school in Bend without her. She seemed to be doing so much better after a few weeks that we all agreed that she was ready to come home upon completion, and we welcomed her home with ready arms. By mid-morning the next day, she was gone. She gave us no indication, so it was a strange mixture of shock and knowing that I felt as it became clear that she had gone, standing on the Terrebonne High Bridge, facing west towards the snow-capped Sisters. And through tears, I couldn't help but see the beauty in her return to the ocean-bound river, the water that she loved. And then another wave of grief would cripple me, and I would rage against the unchangeable permanence. And I would cry out, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this life without you. And then I would hear her say, "You can do it, John. I believe in you." In the exact same loving tone that she used to use when I was standing in front of the open refrigerator looking for the sriracha. "Where is it, babe? You can do it, John. I believe in you. You can do it." And then I can feel her smile on me, and I know that we're going to be okay. I know that Abby and I are going to be okay. Despite the hurt and the anger, I see the ocean of love flowing towards us from all angles, like she knew it would. And I feel a strange amount of peace. And I remember that she believed that she was doing the only right thing she could. Which, believe me, I raged against that belief for months, with many who loved her at my back. But now, with her decision being final, despite all objections, I'm left with the choice to be angry at her and angry at God, or to trust them. That somehow, some unfathomable way, this may be for the best, that God may yet work all things for our good, as he always has. That though we live in a culture with a fearfully avoidant relationship with death, Stacy believed, as I do, that death is just a transition. And she would often talk about how her spirit felt limited by her body and brain. And I'm encouraged to know that her spirit has been liberated to continue her journey of light. She believed that her story here was complete and her time in this body was done. And I look around and I see her everywhere. And then a cloud passes over and the light goes out, and I'm crushed to realize I'll never receive another Stacy hug. And who can bear that? Who can bear that? I liked her in that limiting body of hers. Fit real nice. Oh, guys, you know, I would do it all again. I would do it all again. If I could rewind the tape to the beginning, I would choose her again, and I would sign up for the exact same adventure. We had a great life together. We made beautiful memories. And we made a beautiful girl. Right, Abby? Whew. She would want us to continue to have a great life. And continue to make beautiful memories together. And we will. And I'll always carry her with me in my heart. And I will see her smiling at me through the trees. And her love for us will continue to pour through all of you, as it already has in recent weeks. So abundantly and freely that I can't even count it. To her family, the Higgs, I want to say that you may have lost a daughter and a sister, but you have not lost a son, or a brother, or a granddaughter, or a niece. Abby's going to need Granny and Granddad, and Jeanette, and Aunt Karen, and Uncle Tim. And I know I'm a misfit for your tribe, but you have loved me like family, and I will stay in yours. And to our friends and family and our chosen family, we're going to need you guys to get through this. Please stay close to us. Please feel free to talk to me about Stacy. I'd like nothing more than to remember her. I might crack in half with a sob, but can we just accept that that feels really good and it's all right to do? And I stand here before you in love and in faith and in hope. And I'll be looking inward and skyward for the work that Stacy's continuing to do, even as I trudge through the ashes of the future that's lost. That's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
A couple of weeks ago, John asked he says, well, I'm going to talk at the memorial. Can you talk, Dave? And I thought, we're the two most emotional dudes in the world. Why are you asking two of us to talk? But that was really phenomenal and tremendous. And so I said yes. And then he said, well, you get 10 minutes, Dad. And I thought, sorry, John. But it's going to be a few more minutes. But we do got pictures for you to see again. So we're going to start. Nancy's going to join me. This is my wife, Nancy.
As we reflect on Stacy's life, we remember so many firsts, since we were brand new parents, learning and marveling at each new stage of her development. We weren't prepared for her arrival since she came 3 weeks early, before we even finished our childbirth classes. In fact, we didn't have a name picked out. After a life-threatening delivery and an extended hospital stay, we joyfully brought her home, our precious firstborn, Stacy Lynn Hay, which means, and that's why we picked it, fruitful and refreshing. We've celebrated each milestone in her life. Her first word after Mom and Dad was "dar," as she pointed up to the star on the Christmas tree. And if you know Stacy, Christmas was her favorite holiday ever since then. Another milestone, her first wobbly steps taken in our kitchen in Columbia, Maryland. I remember the first day of school where she wore a special new outfit, and her wardrobe saga began back in kindergarten. She was the first one to play soccer and later lacrosse. Stacy competed in soccer for 13 years and also cheered on all her siblings until she left for college. She was the first one in our family to bike ride 250 plus miles across California with her 5th grade classmates.
That's it.
No. Her siblings followed her lead and later completed the same rigorous trip. She was also the first of our children to travel to Mexico City with Dave on a work trip filled with adventure. And if you know Stacy, she did enjoy travel and even spent a month in Barcelona with John. And then we celebrate each graduation. Elementary school, middle school, high school, and college were all exciting moments as our family gathered to celebrate her achievements. Stacy was the first one to get married, and we welcomed John into our family. We have very sweet memories of that perfect San Diego weather day 20 years ago. There are lots of other firsts that we also celebrated, but today we're here for another kind of celebration. As parents, we never expected to be planning a celebration of life for our daughter at only 42 years of age. It's hard to celebrate the loss of someone so close to our hearts, but we want to honor her today. So we hope to share with you some of her special qualities and why she will be so deeply missed.
Okay. Everything Stacy owned was in some kind of order. We think this led her to build every Lego and then disassembling, putting them back into their carefully opened boxes. All were saved and kept for posterity. She had shell collections, Pokemon collections, keychain collections, geode collections. Everything was ordered as if it's some kind of great significance to the order. The collection we remember most was the troll collection. She had a large collection of trolls that survived 40 years, and most have found their way to Abby, who became a troll cartoon fan of her own. Every time a new troll member joined her troll family, it received a name, a personality description, a location in the collection, and a name sticker properly attached to its feet. The collection grew to over 50 members, and indicative of how she liked to live her life. I wish I could take credit for her organizational skill, but even as a baby in the bathtub, all the Fisher-Price people had to be lined up for a satisfactory bath time.
As the oldest in the family, she had a natural following. Her siblings believed Stacy knew more than Mom and Dad combined. Stacy put herself to good use by helping with the younger siblings in the summers. She got so excited about being the summer school teacher for Karen, Jeanette, Tim, and even neighborhood kids. She had lesson plans, games, stickers, candy rewards, and trips to the local 7-Eleven for Slurpees.
That's another summer school.
Another summer school.
Okay. Years later, Stacy began using her skills outside the home. One day she came home to tell Dad about the committee she volunteered for, the junior class float. "Hi, Dad," she said with a smile. "I'm heading up the high school float committee." Uh-oh, I thought. What she's really saying is, "Dad, can you help us build the float?" Then right away she asked sweetly, "Can you help us?" "Of course, honey, I would be glad to." This being my first float, I went overboard in making the float support to last year's, not just once around the stadium track. She designed the gardens and the beautiful sketches and added decorations. They even swung hammers and pounded nails. Somehow 3 girls, 1 dad, and a few volunteers hammered together the hanging gardens of Babylon. She had a plan, a resolve, and a dad.
Stacy majored in accounting at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Her academic excellence and penchant for order led her into tax accounting at Dorn. She was good at cranking out the 1040s. I like pulling together all the information into a completed return. I just don't like the intensity of the tax season. Every family should have a tax expert on hand like Stacy. Eventually, she left Dorn to work with John at Ashley Vance. Click.
It's Ashley Vance. When the Pan Pacific Hotel rep showed up and explained their holiday card contest to Stacy's elementary school, she was all in. Please envision how the building might look during the holidays and wish the guests a joyous season. We need to go downtown to sketch the hotel, she said. There were no mobile phones, just colored pencils and a pad of paper. Stacy was born with creative talent. She could look at an object and draw it. She was a sight to behold. And we have many of her works around the house that she did just as a young girl that look like the work of an adult. The winner would receive 2 nights free for the entire family in the hotel penthouse between Christmas and New Year's. And there we are. You could draw anything you desired. She soon had a vision of what she wanted to do and set about making a beautiful design of the hotel at Christmas with all its lights. There really was no contest. Her design was clearly way beyond the scope and beauty of the other entrants. The hotel chose her drawing and made it into a Christmas card they sent out and was also displayed throughout the hotel for the remainder of the holiday season with her name on the inside. Plus, we all had a fabulous time staying at the penthouse. Thank you, Stacy. We will never forget that day. And the card is in the foyer if you want to take a look.
Her creative talent continued into adulthood through everything she touched. Stacy's artistic talents extended into making homemade greeting cards for friends and family. Her homemade cards also included her thoughtful and personal words inside, and I'm sure many of you had the privilege of receiving those. Hey, Dad, I designed this card to show how thankful I am for your support, love, and guidance every step of the way. Hi, Mom. I hope you enjoy this card as much as I enjoyed making it. Often quiet in person, she was able to express her inner feelings this way. At times, our family wished she would be more expressive with her feelings verbally. For some reason, she preferred to write them out or speak them into Marco Polos. With her cards, she took time to make them and took time to write them. All the cards are keepsake treasures. You'll find examples in the foyer.
That is Abby's artwork.
Yes.
Much of Stacy's creativity can be seen in the home she made and decorated in her own taste. She also passed along this artistic talent to Abby. She set up an art supply area in the kitchen where the 2 of them could draw, paint, and color side by side. At age 9, Abby has blossomed into an artist in her own right. Artistic passion is a legacy Stacy has passed on along to Abby. And here's another one of her recent art. Pretty amazing.
Stacy knew how to make any day into a special event, like a morning coffee time with Abby and John, or with appetizers for pop-in guests. She was a beautiful, down-to-earth hostess with an eye for details. If anyone here has been to their home, they know what we mean. This is a recent Valentine's Day celebration at her home where she stayed recently for a few months. This was all her doing, the gifts, the cookies, the wrappings, the hearts, and Abby helped too. And here's an example of what she did to honor me on a past Mother's Day. Somehow she managed to coordinate the table arrangement with my wardrobe. What a joyous gift of intentional hospitality she gave to others again and again.
So what is that? Hidden in the boughs of the Haig family Christmas stuff is a piece of old cardboard tree box with the records of every Christmas since 1986. What does one record about Christmas, you may ask? One of our traditions that Stacy loved, the Christmas Day pickle hunt, was when Dad hides a very small pickle on the tree at 5 a.m. This is a chance to get a bonus Christmas gift by being the first to locate the pickle ornament. Stacy was queen of the pickle hunt, with the most wins recorded on the tattered but revered cardboard box. Here is Stacy proudly displaying yet another victory. She would look intently into every nook and cranny to be the first to scream out the win with a special gift and bragging rights. We expected our children to age out of this tradition at age 10, but as you see, the tradition has been carried on into adulthood. The competition is so fierce that's necessary to have two hunts, one for the adult children and one for the grandchildren. And we've had to enforce some rules to end the destruction of our Christmas tree. Stacy continued to celebrate all the family traditions throughout her lifetime.
Growing up, Stacy's faith was a big part of her life. Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. That's from Matthew 19:14. We prayed that someday she would want to enter his kingdom, and we prayed every night with her from birth. I wrote this in my personal journal on February 24th, 1987, and Stacy was 5. This is from my journal. How exciting it is that just 2 days ago, Stacy prayed and invited Jesus into her heart. We were doing bedtime prayers with her and prayed that someday she might invite Jesus into her heart. Stacy asked, well, how do I do that? So we explained the simple steps. First, admit you've sinned or done something wrong. 2, accept God's love and forgiveness for you through Jesus dying on the cross for our sins. 3, to ask Jesus into your heart as your Lord and Savior and receive his promise of eternal life. Stacy said she wanted to ask Jesus into her heart, so she prayed as Dave had just explained. When next asked where Jesus was, she said, in my heart forever. She wanted to know if he was in her grandparents' hearts too, so we could encourage her that yes, he was. Such simple, deep faith of a child. One of the first verses she memorized was John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life.
So Stacy's faith continued to grow as she participated in weekly family devotions, Sunday school, church youth group in high school, and Campus Crusade at Cal Poly. Although she was quiet and didn't often talk about her faith, she kept journals that captured her deep love for God and for other people. People she was praying for were part of every journal entry. For example, Logan and Katie and John and Ashley and Andy and Chola, Mark, Derek, Karen, Jeff, Jeanette, and Tim, and the list went on and on. During family share time, she would share her own journal entries with us during her college days. And thanks to our record keeper here, Nancy, here are some of her entries. In the second year of college, she said, I love reading your word and spending time in prayer. I really believe that spending time with you and sharing with others is the only thing worth doing. You've shown me that nothing in this world satisfies like you do. And then in the third year, good morning, Father. She's not talking to me, she's talking to our Heavenly Father. I'm here now to ask you what to do with me today. I need you to be with me wherever I go. Lord, I want to learn your voice so much better. Prayer and the word, I'm committed. Stacy enjoyed sharing her faith with her family.
For example, here she is celebrating her faith on special days like Advent at Christmas time in our home, where we light candles for the weeks before. She also shared life and faith with her grandparents in special events and church. Here is Momor, her grandmother, and also her close friend, getting her manicure done by Stacy prior to a family wedding. Next. There also was a lot of time in our backyard jacuzzi with siblings and their spouses, and sometimes grandkids, talking about life. And of course, during all those special family times like Lake Tahoe, Kauai, and Bend, our hearts were knit together. These may seem like random times spent with Stacy, but she was one of the most intentional people we've ever known. During every visit to San Diego, she planned to get a special time just with you. Hey, Dad, can we go out for coffee? Mom, I'd like to shop for some flowers. Can you join me? We need to get to Champagne's. Can you, Karen, Jeanette, Tim, join me? If you knew her well, you know what we mean.
We've done a lot of soul searching since April 11th. After 4 months of therapy in San Diego and living with us, we were hopeful that Stacy would recover. Our most recent visits with her were so positive, but we have learned that dealing with someone's trauma and the mental illness it triggers can be complex. There are many pieces to the puzzle. Some of you here may be suffering from your own depression, and we would encourage you, please don't suffer in silence and in isolation. Try to talk about it with those you love and who love you, and seek help as soon as possible. For us, this has been the hardest challenge to our faith yet. We're very sad and disappointed. We have lost so much, but we have not lost our own joy and peace, because Jesus has been carrying us through the unimaginable. These are hard days, and we're getting through them by listening to his advice. Matthew 6:34. Do not worry about tomorrow. Each day has enough trouble of its own. We're James Bond people in our family.
Yes.
James Bond says, the world is not enough. And that is so true. The world cannot give us lasting joy and peace. We believe that only Jesus can do that. He said, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, nor let it be fearful. So, Stacy, your family is going to miss you. We celebrate your life and know what you have given us, but we do take comfort in knowing that you are in heaven. And as the psalmist says, and now, Lord, what shall I look for? My hope is in you. I'm pretty sure that's what she was looking for. So, goodbye, Stacy. We miss you so much. See you in heaven. You are the apple of our eye, and you will never be forgotten.
Hello, my name is Tim, and these are my sisters, Karen and Jeanette. Together, we are Stacy's siblings. Just let me say one more thing. I've given some speeches in my life, but this is sure to be the toughest. I'm glad you're here. And stick with us. Brevity's not maybe the strength of the Higgs, but there's some great details here. So, we thank you so much for attending this important and difficult occasion to honor Stacey Fischer. You all gathered here related to her in one way or another, but to us, she is our oldest sister, Stacy Haig. She was one of the core 4 and the original 6, and later one of the terrific 10, which includes the 10 adults of our immediate family. These were the names I assigned to the group text chains we have used for many years. The 3 of us love Stacy so much. We desire for Stacy to be beside us here and now. I'm not used to being able to wrap my arms around my sisters. There's usually 4 of us. But we must believe she is among us in spirit today. For our portion of the service, we will share our appreciation for Stacy and our immense influence on each of us, and express our intense sorrow that we must now walk through life without her tender presence and guiding hand in body. On behalf of my siblings, I will begin by reading a prayer of lament that has resonated with us. Then I will read the eulogies written by Karen, Jeanette, and myself. First, the lament. This is a liturgy from a book called Every Moment Holy. This is called The Loss of a Close Sibling. We ache, O Lord, with a new sadness rooted deep in the soil of our existence. How can we ever make an accounting of what has been lost, except to say that it weaves through all of our days, as far back as we can remember? For we have lost one of our closest fellow travelers, one who journeyed with us through so many stations along this temporal track. We've lost a friend and an ally, a sister with whom we felt an unspoken bond. We shared home and parents and family, hardships, holidays, and hopes. We can hardly imagine what it will mean now to live in a world without our dear sister Stacy. Her existence has been to us as constant as the course of a river winding through the landscape. Sometimes near, sometimes farther away, but its living waters always audible. Now the course of the river diverges from our paths through time, and the familiar sound of those waters strangely fades. It was you, O Lord, who in grace gave each of us to the other, placed us in one another's lives as advocates, companions, encouragers, and friends. You put us together where we might learn to love and to be loved, to forgive and to be forgiven, in the warmth of strong sibling bonds. It was an honor to love and know and to be known and loved by Stacy, and it is an honor now to grieve for her. For the depth of the pain is the same as the depth of our bond. Now, O Christ, in this sadness be our steady strength and consolation, be our peace. Amen. You ready?
Tim so graciously offered to read all of our eulogies, so I might stop at any point, but Stacy meant a lot of things to a lot of people, but only the 3 of us get to call her our big sister. She took her role as the oldest sibling so seriously. She had to go first in so many things, and as she bravely forged her own path, she always took the time to look back and check on me, and to guide me on my own journey. One of my greatest treasures is a little note she wrote me when I was in middle school and she was in early high school. She writes, "I understand you're going through a hard time in life, growing up and all. If you ever have any questions, concerns, or just want to talk, drop me a note or tell me you need to speak with me. If you ever write me and want to keep it a secret, drop it behind my pillow." And I did just that. I remember the safety I felt dropping a note with embarrassing questions behind her pillow, knowing she would receive it with love and tenderness and respond without judgment or shame. And this continued into our adult lives, whether it was to call her crying about a recent breakup and later show up at her college apartment to have her console my broken heart, or to share my recent struggles in motherhood. I can count on Stacy to welcome me just as I was and to offer her wisdom and insight with humility and grace. Somewhere along the way, over the years of notes behind pillows and teary phone calls, Stacy became more than a sister to me. She became one of my dearest friends. And she wouldn't let me lose. Stacy saw me, who I really was, before I even saw myself. And she wouldn't let me lose sight of that. She always called out the good in me and encouraged me to embrace who God made me to be. And she did this with such intention and thoughtfulness. Though we didn't get to share daily life together, she was a steady presence in my life as we stayed connected via Marco Polo's, texts, sending each other countless notes and care packages. She also showed up for me. She showed up for important milestones like bachelorette parties, weddings, college graduations, family get-togethers, birthdays, new homes, and baby births. and she prioritized visiting us in almost every place we've lived in our military lifestyle, only missing 2 of the 10 different duty stations, mostly due to COVID. Though we shared a lot of special visits together, I treasure the year that we lived in Hood River, Oregon, just a few hours drive from here. Now, Stacy warned me she thought she'd only have the capacity to meet up 1 weekend a quarter, but within a few days of arriving, our daughter fell, broke her arm, and Stacy hopped right in the car and spent that weekend helping me unpack boxes, set up the house, and I counted a total of 12 visits that year. So Stacy knew she had limited resources to give, but she chose again and again to give of herself generously to the people she loved. I haven't yet come to terms with what life will be like for me moving forward without Stacy, without my older sister to look up to, or my precious friend to help me carry the burdens and questions of this life. But I know that I am who I am in great part because of who Stacy was in my life and all that she gave of herself to me. In death, as in life, she has gone a few steps before me. I can picture her in heaven still cheering me on, and I know someday she'll greet me with a big hug when Jesus calls me home. Thank you.
I want to try.
Okay.
Good luck. Okay. Okay. Do not like being in front of people. I was a teacher, but those were, little kids. Okay. Even though Stacy and I were so different from one another, she was a confidant, a source of wisdom, and my advocate when I needed one. Growing up, I've always worn my heart on my sleeve and can't hide my strong opinions and emotions, even when I tried to. Stacy was different. She was the epitome of still waters running deep. She felt things strongly, yet maintained an aura full of grace, tranquility, and warmth, which made those around her feel at peace and accepted just as they are. However, what has always most stood out to me is how my oldest sister intentionally made room for me in her life, despite our differences, through all of its different seasons. During her elementary school years, as Mom and Dad talked about, Stacy on her own accord created a summer school program for her siblings and used her own allowance money to pay for prizes that we could earn when we did a good job. I remember feeling so proud of myself for earning a Slurpee from 7-Eleven after I received a certain number of stamps from Stacy. And when she came with me to get the Slurpee, I felt so overjoyed that my cool older sister was choosing to spend time with just me. As one of 4, I have often felt overshadowed by my other siblings, but Stacy had the unique gift and ability to make each of us feel seen, heard, and valued. During her high school years and then continuing on through college, she would invite me on sister dates to the Olive Garden, where we always ordered the same thing, a bowl of fettuccine Alfredo to share so that we'd have room for a triple chocolate mousse cake dessert. I treasured these outings with Stacy because she always made a point to listen to my heart and also shared the wisdom that she had gained from her own life experiences. These conversations made me feel important and like I mattered, thereby helping me in the battle that I face daily against feelings of insecurity and low self-worth. Throughout college and beyond, Stacy hosted me in all of the different places that she called home, and also made it a point to visit me wherever I was living at the time. Whenever I'd make a trip to see her, my sister rolled out the red carpet, and visits with her always included good music, impromptu dance parties, fancy drinks, daily coffee time, beautiful food spreads, as well as activities and conversations that rejuvenated the soul. One couldn't help but want to be near my sweet sister, Stacy. Her serenity, her laugh, her true smile, her hugs, and her grace-filled and loving heart for others. Visits with her always held a special significance for me because I know how difficult it was for her to show up like she did for all the people who she loved. As an introvert, she needed time on her own to recharge, turtle time, as she liked to call it. Being with others took a lot out of her, yet she consistently made it a point to not only attend our events, but to help us with them. For example, when I found out that I would be having twins in June 2022, only 2 years after moving to Washington State, I reacted with an extremely high level of anxiety and tears. I couldn't fathom how I was going to make it without a support system nearby to help us. Stacy responded to my heart by coordinating family and friend visits for the first few months after Rosalie and Asher's birth. The way in which she advocated for my needs as a twin mom made me feel even more able to take on this new life challenge. I will always cherish the memories I have of snuggling up with Stacy on our couch while we watched the TV series This Is Us and bottle-fed the twins. The week in July of 2022, when she visited and helped us, will always remain my favorite memory from the twins' first year. Whenever I look at my daughter, I always think of my oldest sister, since Rosalie's middle name is Lynn, just like her namesake, Aunt Stacy. As I write these words, my heart feels so much pain and heartbreak. I truly ache to be with my sister again, and I only take some consolation in the hope that I will get to reunite Rosalie with her namesake someday when we all meet together in our heavenly home. I will forever be thankful for how intentionally Stacy pursued a lifetime of close friendship with me, despite our multitude of differences. She will be more than missed. She will be cherished in my heart every moment until I see her again.
I will never be able to convey all that I love and will miss about Stacy in one day, much less in this eulogy. When I think about Stacy's driving force in my life, two words come to mind: cheerleader and role model. From my earliest days, Stacy cheered me on and celebrated me. She celebrated my existence, my coming into this world. Although I was too young to hold on to the memory myself, I was told this story. When Stacy was about 8 years old, she elected to bring me into her second grade class as the subject of her show and tell. That was the 90s. Good times. I was a baby, so I just laid there in my rocker. But my classmates watched me with curiosity. In the front of the room, Stacy beamed and was pleased to be sharing me with her peers. She also celebrated many of my milestone moments and did so in person. She took the time to be involved in my life story, despite being 8 years older and surely having bigger and better happenings in her own life. I can distinctly remember the special way that she welcomed me home from my first Boy Scout camp. Standing beside other family members, she held a large sign that she created. It was a detailed sketch of a summer camp scene. This was my first week away from the security of my family, and a big step for me. She was the only one who created such a sign among all the members of all the families that came to greet us. She knew how to celebrate important occasions in a way not thought of by others. I will greatly miss the personal touches she added to occasions big and small. There is a photo that comes to mind that freezes in time the posture with which she approached celebration. It is a photo of her on my wedding day, a good day indeed. She is looking toward me as I speak at the reception. I can see captured in her focused smile praise of the most profound kind. It is a beautiful depiction of the support I received from her during transitional moments in my life. She cheered for me, sometimes loudly, more often quietly, but always rooting for me to thrive. For the better part of my life, Stacy was a role model for me, and actually so was John, the two of them. She modeled practical behaviors in schooling, personal finance, and job selection, but I think more crucially, she modeled social behaviors. She showed me a different approach to interacting with others than my parents, different ways of hosting, gathering, talking, listening, and loving. She was the first sister that I bonded with, and the first one to usher me into adult concerns. Furthermore, Stacy modeled greater risk for greater reward. Nothing crazy by most people's standards, but for my family, it was a notable difference. There was a feeling of letting the hair down, living in the moment, and embracing a sense of flow. In many ways, her influence shaped my approach to living my day-to-day. There was the time soon after she earned her driver's license that she coaxed me into co-piloting the family van. I've always been a cautious fellow, so I was reluctant to accept her rule-breaking invitation. With me in her lap, she gave me the wheel and let me steer while she managed the pedals, which were out of reach for me. She loved me and loved experiencing life with me, often pulling me up to her level as much as my little self could participate. Later in life, she invited me to embrace the thrill of jumping into cold water. I imagine some others here have experienced this. Sure, we experienced the chill of the Pacific Ocean in our childhood, but the lakes and rivers of Central Oregon are on another level. I followed her lead and was inducted into this practice in 2010. To this day, I choose to jump into cold water, just like Stacy, to embrace the momentary discomfort that gives way to awakened senses and a refreshment of the soul. As I go about my future days, I will consider Stacy's ways of being. She will continue to be a model for me even after her death. I am thankful for Stacy's influence in my life. She was a great cheerleader and a role model. I will be forever grateful that given my home location of San Diego, I was able to share life with her in her final months. In that time, I was able to create new memories in a difficult context. Memories I will cherish for the rest of my life. And perhaps for the first time in my life, I was her cheerleader and her role model. Applying the lessons she taught to me. So in closing, we love you, Stacy. May we follow your lead and love as you have loved us. We long to be with you again.
My name is Sarah DeBell. Stacy was our best friend. Stacy was a prism, a solid but light-filled object with a surprising heft and weight. She was like something you wanted to keep in the palm of your hand or roll around inside of your cheek. She had a slow, releasing sweetness with an earthy texture. Like a prism, Stacy had so many complicated angles and smooth edges. When the conditions were correct, and when the light hit her at just the right angle, she showed an entire spectrum of color, beauty, and humanity. All over the walls, ordinary daylight turned into transcendental play. Stacy's prism rainbows scattered wherever she was. Her perfectly appointed coffee tray, her Trader Joe's bouquet deconstructed and rearranged to just match her aesthetic. Her printed photos in collage with just the right scraps of ephemera. Her peal of laughter like ringing bells, one peal building off the next, interrupting itself. Can you hear it? Her holiday magic. Her quiet presence and clockwork reliability. Her clothes coordinated with earrings she found at a local boutique. Oh, and she bought you a pair too. Here they are, wrapped so precisely, and the card is, of course, handmade. Stacy's light refracted onto all of us. After time spent with Stacy, it felt like the air had been purified. All pretense and guile was filtered out of the room. She had a high bar for relational quality and interpersonal connection. If you are celebrating her life and her memory here today, I hope you know you're part of an elite group. Stacy's orbit only had room for people of sincerity and substance. She did not suffer fools or anything flimsy. Stacy did not wear fast fashion. She did not indulge in gossip. She did not hurry through life. She did not live to check boxes of any kind. She was a person of heart-forward consequence, a deep seeker. She walked barefoot on the uneven ground of this realm, looking squarely at the pain, undiluted, feeling the pokes and the thorns more than the rest of us. Like many of you, Stacy and I communicated often through video messaging. My phone contains thousands of hours of her beautiful, emotion-filled face, processing her feelings, thinking through challenges, always with tears and laughter, and usually both. These were the richest conversations I've had in my life. My favorite messages were the ones she sent from the shed while seated on her Peloton bike. She always had a shaman-like clarity after a good workout, and man, she could spit some spicy truth in those moments. Sorry. Recently, as Stacy began to lose ground in her battle with mental illness, her words slowed. When video became too hard for her, we switched to texting. I encouraged her to text me 3 words to summarize her day or how she was feeling. She would write, "Not so sure," or "Doing my best." Then one day, her text was just 3 dots. 3 dots standing in for words she couldn't find. We did that a lot in these last few months. We just texted dots back and forth. Since she left us, those dots have stayed with me. What was the right response for what she was trying to say? Could we have cracked her code? Could we have found words that reached her, pulled her back, comforted her? Or made her understand just how vital and beautiful and valuable she was? But then I remembered what 3 dots are. They're an ellipsis, a grammatical tool to represent a pause or to show that there's more to come. The ... happens when the story cuts off abruptly. We feel it in our chest. The momentum and plotline are suspended, and we are all left to navigate this horrible vacant pause. But we know that Stacy's story isn't finished. There is more to come. Chapters we can't imagine. Poetic justice restored in a way we didn't see coming. An ending where death has no sting and the characters are redeemed. And if ever there was someone who was built for that second chapter, for that sequel where we learn about the better world, the higher order, where the creator of her prismatic light is finally revealed, that someone is Stacy. Stacy was not swayed by the winds of organized religion, and she did not pledge allegiance to any doctrine or denomination. I think her sincerity bar was set too high. But Jesus was real to her. She loved him. She followed him in truth and word and in deed. And in these raw and painful days, when we leave the strength of our collective grief and we go back to our individual lives, we all will wonder, how do we stay in this story when she's no longer in it? When the pause after those 3 dots hurts and the light is gone, or at best it's just ordinary daylight, let's take our cue from sweet Stacy. Let's make a smoothie or a fancy craft cocktail, just the right glass. Put on a good hip-hop mix, or just sit quietly and watch a bird at its feeder. Let's try to do what it says in Philippians 4:8. When I read this verse in this translation, I thought, yes, this sounds exactly like something Stacy would endorse. So here it is. Here's what we're going to do. Summing it all up, friends, I'd say you'll do best by filling your minds and meditating on things true, noble, reputable, authentic, compelling, and gracious. The best, not the worst. the beautiful, not the ugly, things to praise, not things to curse. Do that, and God, who makes everything work together, will work you into his most excellent harmonies.
Wow. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you, John. I haven't met so many of you, but I've heard so much about all of you. And I don't even know where to start, but I'm going to start with a poem. Don't think of her as gone away. Her next journey's just begun. Life holds so many facets. This earth is only one. Just think of her as resting from any hardship and tears, in a place of warmth and comfort, where there are no days and years. Think how much she must be wishing that we could know today, how nothing but our sadness can really pass away. We think of her as living in the hearts of those she touched, for nothing loved is ever lost, and she was loved so much. Oh wow, I get to look at that beautiful picture. I'm glad it's in front of me too. My name's Julie, and I'm very thankful to be here to help honor Stacy and all the amazing things that she brought to my life and so many others that she touched. The loss of her from the physical world is huge and truly leaves a hole in my heart. I considered Stacy to be one of my best friends, and she is definitely one of my favorite souls that has walked on this earth, so I will miss her deeply. Going back to how I met Stacy, I met Stacy 15 years ago while we were working together. And while we are both accountants and worked several tax seasons together, there are so many other important things that we connected over. We both loved yoga and coffee and lunch dates. And Friday was often a day we would meet for yoga. So Fridays are special for me. We both love the outdoors and long walks, bike rides, and riding tandems. I have a tandem, just like John and Stacy had, and I make my youngest daughter ride on that tandem with me, and she's just about done. So Abby, if you ever want a tandem partner, I'm here for you. We loved camping and fires, music and books, travels and hot springs. In addition to being one of the most loving people I knew, she was also one of the coolest and most inspiring. She introduced me to a lot of great things, including Summer Lake Hot Springs, which has since been one of my happy places. In fact, I'll be there on her birthday this year, because I can feel her presence there. She introduced me to one of my spiritual teachers who's been a calming force in my life, and who I imagine I will turn to now to process this loss. So I just thank Stacy for these gifts and many others that she gave all of us. But even with these commonalities on things we love to do, I was drawn to Stacy because of who she is. She's one of those authentic, intentional and deeply feeling and loving souls. She has a big heart. And when we would get together, we would pretty quickly deep dive into conversations about life and love and parenthood and the meaning of it all. We are both highly sensitive souls, and so we understood and could discuss much of what we were feeling, both the joys and the hardships that this world can bring. And Stace was one of the best listeners I've known, and I'm pretty sure that most would say that they felt heard and seen in her presence. I can get so busy doing the things in life, and Stacy helped me to remember, to slow down and appreciate all the important things. She was so good at just being and experiencing life. She was very intentional about investing her precious time and love into what was most important to her. And in my knowing her, the most important things were her relationships. First and foremost with John and Abby. Her and John have a beautiful and lifelong love story, and I know how much she loves him, and always has. And she's just been the best mom to Abby. So much of Stacy will live on in Abby. And then also her close ties, their loving parents, her siblings, all her college friends. I'm so grateful that I got to be included in her close circle. Stacy is truly a gift to this world, a bright light, a magical presence, and a loving soul. I will miss her in physical presence, her hugs, her words, her love. But I know she's still here in spirit and will continue to love us.
I'm Steph. I'm John's sister, Abby's aunt. I'm a little older than they are. To begin, I just want to say that it's been the highlight of my adulthood to share life with my brother and his family here in Bend. From early marriage to holidays to April birthday celebrations to hosting family and friends together, to camping in the summer, to having babies, to backyard barbecues, to cutting down Christmas trees. John, Stacy, Abby, Josh, Fisher, Reed, and I have done life together here in our small town for the better part of the last 20 years. Then, over the course of the last few years, Stacy and I had grown from being family, from being sisters-in-law, women who love my brother John, wives who manage our family calendars together, mothers who are in the trenches learning the ropes as we go, to friends. We shared a loving mutual respect. We were confidants, holders of one another's deep truths, protectors of each other's hearts and dignities, supporters of each other's healing, growing, and liberation. And then in the past 8 months, I became a warrior for Stacy, a soldier on the front line of the battle to save her life. I saw and I felt and I experienced a depth of pain and despair that I had never before witnessed. It was harrowing. It was magnificent. It was terrifying and starkly human. The love and the pain so scalding, it was physically painful to stand in her presence and sit by her side. But despite the pain, and despite the crushing grief and heartbreak I feel in knowing how deeply we will all miss her. I want to say that without hesitation, it was the honor and the privilege of my life to have been trusted and loved by Stacy throughout the course of these last months. I'm deeply humbled to have been given her love, and especially given her trust to love and care for her most precious people, my brother and her sweet Abby Jack. So I'd like to talk to Abby, and I'd like to read a letter that I wrote to you. Dear AJ, I wanted to write you a letter that I could read to you now, but that you could also keep and read whenever you feel like you might want to when you get older. Some of the things I say might make sense to you today, and some of them might make more sense as you gain years and perspective and experiences. We have a lot in common, you and me. Did you know that Google Photos doesn't know the difference between me and you? It's true. If I search for pictures with my name, I get pictures of both of us, all the way back to the day you were born. How cool is that? Google must see something really similar in me and you. We also have the same hair. You already know that, though. And I'm sorry to say, but you're going to spend a lot of time straightening and curling and blow drying. And hairdressers for the rest of your life will clear hours in their schedule to deal with that crazy thick mane of yours. You're an only daughter, and I'm an eldest daughter, and we are both born into this crazy family with an extraordinary dad who doesn't follow the rules, who seeks adventure, is naturally insatiably curious, likes to take risks, and adores their little girls. And you and I also have another thing in common. We have lost a parent much too young. I want to talk to you a little bit about that experience and about some of the ways our journeys might get even more similar. Right now, I know that the most important thing to you is to feel safe. You want to know that your home and your stuffies and chips and salsa and Louie and Kip and school friends all stay the same. You'll probably develop a love for order and neatness and routine. And that may mean that sometime down the road, your friends and family will tease you for being such a neat freak and so organized. You may also start trying to be very, very good. You won't want to bother anyone, especially your dad, because you'll want more than anything in the world for him to be happy so that your world feels safe and okay. I want you to know that it's not your job to take care of the adults around you, and you do not have to make everybody happy by being a good girl all the time. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to listen to your body and take care of your own heart too. This is going to be a big lesson for you to learn that may take a long time, but I promise that I'll be here to help you to remember those things. You might also feel very sensitive to all of the emotions of the people around you, and it may make you feel safest when all of your people are together and happy. And the good news about this is this might very well make you a pretty decent collector of friends, and a gatherer of family, and a creator of community, because you feel the most fulfilled when all of your people are together and you're surrounded by those that you love. And I hope one day, Abby, that you'll begin to notice something very special. You may notice that all of the people you have gathered into your community and into your heart are shining, glittery, beautiful pieces that together, when you hold them in your mind, create a mosaic that you recognize. See, Abby, people are never really gone, not completely. Their spirit and their energy and their love lives forever. And since you're such a smart and deeply feeling little girl, much like your mama, you probably already have an idea where some of those beautiful glittering pieces of spirit and energy and love from your mama are scattered. You probably see pieces in the eyes and smiles of your aunties Karen and Jeanette and your grandma. And you might see pieces in the way that Katie Jack loves crafting and art and quiet time with you. The way Andy and Carrie love to gather a small group of friends with a lovely flower arrangement and a special drink. Or the patience and the quiet, steadfast loyalty and faith that Granddad has may glimmer in a special way, too, that's familiar. Reading stories and playing games with Grandma Joyce probably twinkles in a special way, too. You're so blessed, Abby, in the same way that I was, the way I am. To be surrounded by so much love, so many friends who are family, so many cousins, so many aunties, uncles, grandparents, and still, none of them will be just like your mama. And that's really sad. And it will always be a sadness that you carry. I still miss my dad, your Grandpa Jack. But that sadness that you carry is another one of those glittering pieces. It's the one that you will carry carefully, so, so close to your heart. And you're going to hold it up to others all your life. And if you see that your piece matches theirs and glimmers in a similar way, and if you zoom out with time and with your face towards the sun, and your heart opens so your shiny, beautiful, shimmering piece can shine too, you will see that all of the pieces fit together into a mosaic of the love and energy and beauty of your mama, of our sweet Stacy. No one piece will fill that space that she left. And even all put together, it won't fit exactly right. But it will be beautiful. And it will be whole. And we will make this beautiful mosaic together. And I will be one of your glittering pieces. And every single person in this room will be one of those pieces. And there are people that you haven't even met yet who will be one of those pieces. And you will know that you are safe and you are loved. You are safe and you are loved. I love you.
Skip this mic and go back to the guitar real quick. Wow, what a full house. So glad to see you guys. I've been sitting in the front row the whole time. I didn't realize we were just backed up by so many loving people, and just glad that everybody came here to get their grief out and support the family. Half these people are my family, just so you know. The Fisher clan's pretty big, and can be a little bit imposing, but the Higgs get that. They felt it during the wedding and many times since. So thanks for your patience. I really want to thank the people of the congregation in this church. I'm typically not very comfortable in church, but Joy and Eric and Trevor and Jason have just been so accommodating for us. You know, I've never felt just such a welcoming presence. They're here to serve us, and I just really want to make sure that we thank you guys for that. My dad's got 8 brothers and sisters, and I think with so many people, there was a drive, a competitive drive, at least amongst the males, that created a rambunctiousness, a typical Fisher trait. And maybe Stacy was drawn to some of that in John, and I know they met in middle school, but John also had a fairly rambunctious youth through high school. John went off to uni, and Stacy stayed at Mount Carmel, and they weren't together that whole time. And there was a period of time where John was very typical Fisher, and on one of these evenings, we were driving our 1994 Chevy Blazer down Black Mountain Road, and there was a yellow light, and most people see a yellow light and they kind of ease onto the brakes, right? John's last name kind of told him otherwise, and he stepped on the gas. Problem was, there were a couple cars in front of us, and two of them acted like normal people and hit the brakes. I was sitting shotgun, and John was behind the wheel. Quickly realized that we're going to get in a car accident right now. And the decision was slam on the brakes and reduce the impact into the car right in front of us, or make a drastic swerve, maybe roll the Blazer. And John found a third option somehow. I just don't know how this happened, but somehow he swerved and somehow back and forth and threaded the needle through these two cars, and we ended up speeding through this red light right at Park Village Drive. The version of the story John tells is that there were some mirrors busted off of the car. There were definitely mirrors on that Blazer when I inherited it, right? That car went from my mom to my sister. But maybe we clipped some other cars' mirrors. So, if you guys went missing a rear view or side view mirror around 2001 at Park Village, you can take it up with my brother. Sorry, I'm going to get a drink of water. But it scared John. We made it down to Trimman Street. I think he was going about 10 miles per hour from Black Mountain Road all the way down to the cul-de-sac, and his hands were trembling, and it feels like he had a kind of a brush with death, or at least a significant moment there. And as we're pulling into the driveway, this song came on the radio, and I think we might have exchanged some words where I was like, dude, that was close, I don't know what John said, but I hopped out of the car, and he just sat in there, and he listened to this whole song, and I think it was a bit of a turning point for him. He, after hearing this song and that experience, he picked up the phone and he called Stacy. They hadn't spoken for 6 months or more, and since that moment, he got in touch with Stacy. She forgave him for who he was or what he had done in the last 6 months or a year, and they got back together again, and they'd been together ever since. When I rushed in, right after Stacy's departure, and sat there with my brother on his front porch and grabbed that guitar off the wall and sort of started fumbling around and feeling out what kind of song I might play for Stacy. This one came up, and I don't know if I can do it today. I'm going to try, but John and I kind of sang it together on that front porch, and looked at him, and I was like, "Is this the one?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think that'll play." So I'll give it a try. This song is by Garth Brooks. It's called "If Tomorrow Never Comes." Let me turn my guitar on. That might be helpful. Sometimes late at night, I lie awake and watch her sleeping, and she's lost in peaceful dreams. So I turn out the light and lay there in the dark, and then the thought crosses my mind: if
I never wake up in the morning. Would she ever doubt the way I feel about her in my heart? And if tomorrow never comes, would she know how much I loved her? And did I try in every way to show her every day that she's my only one? And if my time on earth were through, and she must face this world without me, isn't love I gave her in the past gonna be enough to last if tomorrow never comes? 'Cause I've lost loved ones in my life who never knew how much I loved them. And now I live with the regret that my true feelings for them never were revealed. So I made a promise to myself to say each day how much she means to me, and avoid that circumstance where there's no second chance to tell her how I feel. And if tomorrow never comes, would she know how much I loved her? And did I try in every way to show her every day that she's my only one? And if my time on earth were through, and she must face this world without me, isn't love I gave her in the past gonna be enough to last if tomorrow never comes? So tell that someone that you love just what you're thinking of if tomorrow never comes. I'm gonna do one more over on the piano, guys. We'll just stick with Garth for consistency. Uh-oh, I can see the slideshow from here. All right. Looking back on the memory of the dance we shared beneath the stars above. For a moment, all the world was right. How could I have known that you'd ever say goodbye? And I'm glad I didn't know
way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the day. And holding you, I held everything. Every moment wasn't I the king? And if I'd only known how the king would fall, then who's to say? You know I might have changed it all. And I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the days.
They say we're judged by the quality of the people that we're surrounded by. And man, you guys can tell that Stacy was the best. Gosh, we're gonna miss her. And yet, we have her here in all of you, these people that she's invested in and shared her life with. And so thank you for the church and all the loving hands and the voices that helped us begin this growth, this grief journey together. Because all we're doing is beginning. There's many, many years ahead. And we need to all be together and lend our voices and our support, especially to John and Abby, but to one another. We'll never get tired of telling stories. It's, I think, one of the misnomers of the grief journey, that if we mention Stacy, that everybody will fall to pieces. That's okay. We want to remember her for forever. So tell the stories, right? And to start off that, we're going to have some food in the back here. And I hope that if you have a story about Stacy, I hope you tell it. And if you don't have one, ask someone for their story, okay? Because we all are going to share her and carry her together. Thank you for coming and beginning this journey with us. I know Stacy was honored. Love you all.